Wrestlebuddy Podcast. All about wrestling. Subscribe and follow for more content.
Welcome everybody. I am Jimmy Bebe and I'm here for Wrestlebuddy. Today I am joined by Eugene. How you doing today, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. To start off, I'm just going to name off some names that you've worked with, and you just kind of tell me your thoughts about working with them. First off, Eric Bischoff.
I thought Eric was great. I mean, there was a lot of people that were warning me, and you heard the bad stories of I guess maybe his worst moments in WCW being the boss, but he was great to work with. He was willing to work with me. He was coming up with ideas to get me over. He's a great guy.
Yeah. All right. Triple H.
Triple H is the game for a reason. He's definitely very good. He made it to the top of the mountain for a reason, because he's that good.
When you did the cage match with him, did you guys work together in putting that together, or was it kind of like him leading and you following? Like how did that go?
Yeah, I followed everything. He was the general.
Okay. The Rock.
The Rock was awesome, right? So we came to San Diego, and I used to ride with sometimes with Rob Conway and Sylvain Grenier, La Resistance. Sly was good friends with Pat Patterson, who was in the office. We were in San Diego. Sly comes to me early in the day, says, they're going to do something really cool in the ring with you. It's either going to be with The Rock or with Rhino. And no knock on Rhino, but he's no Rock. And I'm sitting there going, he's not going to come. It's not going to happen. He hasn't been on TV in 2 years. He's not going to come. And lo and behold, he showed up. He didn't know me. He didn't have to do it, and he gave back to the business and pulled somebody up. And I'm forever thankful for The Rock, because he's the one that made me a star, a made man.
So when he came out, the shock was real. Like you were literally like, wow, he really did come in. What did he think about you using some of his moves?
He told me it was fantastic. I don't know if he really meant it or not, but he wasn't wrestling at the time, so it's no big deal.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Kurt Angle.
Kurt was awesome, right? Like Kurt had all these ideas that he wanted to do that were like really entertaining and comedy, but Vince was trying to get Kurt ready as a killer heel to go against John Cena. Kurt wanted to do a thing where right before he started wearing the mouthpiece, he wanted to do something where he broke his jaw or something, so it gave him a reason to wear the mouthpiece. Then we show up at the airport, and we got the sign that says Eugene and the sign that says gold medalist Kurt Angle. Eugene comes out with the gold medal on because I won it, right? Oh, you must be the gold medalist. And then Kurt Angle's got the mouthpiece in. I can't talk. Oh, you must be Eugene. Put him in the short bus and take him to the show. But they didn't go that route.
It's a shame. I think you and him could have put on some really funny segments with his comedic chops and your comedic chops as well, because those are two great characters. Vince McMahon.
Vince was like, he was driven. He was always there to work. I was never really around him on a social setting. That's one thing I think I wish I would have done more, was try to get a better relationship with him. I got injured at the New Year's Revolution pay-per-view. I had my knee surgery in Birmingham. Therapy, doing therapy on my knee. That's when Vince had his double quad tear, remember, at the Royal Rumble? Yeah. So he went and he had surgery, and I knew where the hospital was, so I just walked in and found his room and walked right in. And he had a couple of days unshaven, and I could tell he was immediately uncomfortable. And I was like, I knew he had somebody there, but I was like, if you need anything, I'm here. I should have set a chair down next to his bed and just talked his ear off until he forced me to leave, but
all right. So we'll move on to your work in OVW. You worked with Jim Cornette, correct?
Absolutely.
Yes. So he's a subject that usually comes with moans and eye rolls these days. He doesn't have the biggest fan base. But how was it working with him at that time? And what were you able to learn from him?
Well, first, I disagree. I think he's got a huge fan base. He's got a lot of people that follow him. Well, even the people that complain about him are going to watch him just so they can complain about him. But I thought Jimmy was great. Yeah. Jimmy was like, old school. Everything made sense. One thing led to the next thing. This happened. We look back. Oh, now I know why this happened, and it makes sense here. Sometimes at the time, WCW's booking or even some of WWE's booking would just offhandedly make a left turn and go in a different direction. Like, where does this leave us now? But with Jimmy, everything made sense.
Yeah, I agree with his views on a lot of things. He has an old school mentality, but it does make sense when he's trying to break things down and tell you where it's leading. So we'll move on to the Eugene character already then. Do you feel, I know you came up with the character, and then Brian Growitz helped write the pieces for him and everything, but do you feel like maybe you were pigeonholed with that character? Like you couldn't really grow from it, or did you have ideas that maybe you could have advanced the character past what it was?
I don't know. I was fearful to do that, change it in too much of a way, because it worked. It was a success, and it was over.
Yeah.
A character like that, a gimmick character, somebody that you could bring out for 3 months, 4 months, pull him back off TV. I could do something else for a little while, and then bring him out again, and all of a sudden he's new and he's fresh and he's over, as opposed to evolving the character into something different. Because once I evolved away from it, it's kind of tough to go back to it. You know, I don't know. I thought about the multiple personality disorder, where all of a sudden I'm a different personality, and Eugene was just one of the personalities. But Vince was fearful to take a gimmick character like that and then totally switch away from it, because then the people might not buy any future gimmick characters. But the thing was, I've been wrestling for almost 10 years at the time, and Eugene was my biggest success, and I really didn't want to get away from it. I had good merchandise sales, and I was doing well.
Yeah, you strike lightning. You don't want to move too far away from it, but at the same time, you get certain characters, and they reach a wall, and they can't really go any further. So I was just curious if you had thought about that, or if it was just you were just riding the wave of momentum.
But at the time, there was also two different brands. The Raw and SmackDown brands are different. So I did all this stuff on Raw, and then I can go over to SmackDown, and I can run the similar character, but with different co-characters.
That's true. I know you don't watch much of the product. I've seen some of the interviews. You don't watch much product these days. You're a busy man. But you do tune in from time to time, correct?
Yep.
Has there been anybody you've caught that has caught your attention that you're like, man, I wish I could work with them, work a program with them, with Eugene, and just the connect, like an entertaining program with Eugene? Does anybody catch your attention?
The guys that I was really impressed with started when I was a coach, which was Braun Strowman and Chad Gable. Those two interacted with one another in this phenomenal. Like, Chad Gable was the bully heel, almost like younger or older brother that beat up on yelled at big Braun Strowman, and Braun Strowman was like the this stuff that we did in training. And I thought those guys are phenomenal. I know Braun Strowman is currently not under contract, and I don't know the status of Chad Gable, but those were two guys that I thought were really talented.
Are you familiar with Riddle? Matt Riddle?
Yeah.
Okay,
I haven't watched a lot of stuff. I've seen like the stuff on Twitter that has his picture and stuff like that. He looks like he's very character that people are going to love or hate, but still he's going to get a reaction.
Yeah, that's the one that comes to mind when I think of the Eugene character. I think you guys would have some just gold segments with his character and then the Eugene character. Do you ever see yourself coming back as Eugene to WWE for like a short stint, or maybe like a one-off appearance at the Rumble or anything like that?
Well, never say never, but the phone has not rung yet. So,
okay.
I mean, I think all the guys that are no longer under contract but are still able to wrestle would love to come back for the Royal Rumble. I know that I would. One thing I would love to is get Doink the Clown in the WWE Hall of Fame. Now, Doink the Clown's been on TV for, 20 plus years. He's instantly recognizable. He's always over. The fans love him. He always brings a smile. And I think there were 7 or 8 guys that played the Doink character. I was one of them, and I think they all should be put in the Hall of Fame. I was number 6.
Oh, really? I did not know there was that many that played him. But yeah, he definitely should be in the Hall of Fame. He's one of the best characters they've ever had.
Very good.
So you played Eugene, the character with special needs. Do you think winning the title is what made him an inspirational story, or do you think that you would have still had that feel good story without a title victory when you won it with William Regal.
I think we could have done it without it, but that was just another icing on the cake. You know, Eugene getting a first match, that was a victory. Then winning his first match, that was a victory. And then going on to, you know, be in the ring with Hulk Hogan, be in the ring with The Rock, you know, and then partner with Regal and win the tag titles. It was just a great build that, like you said, Brian Gerwick wrote, and he wrote it perfectly.
I saw you mentioned that he wrote that movie that the Big Show starred in, Knucklehead, yes. I believe it was.
Yes.
Was there ever a point where it was supposed to be you that was in the movie, or was it just made for Big Show?
No, the way I was told, it was written for me, or there was a movie written for me. And then when I saw Knucklehead, I was like, that's the script right there. You know, because he put a lot of time into the script, and it was a good, funny movie, but they wanted the basic story is Eugene's trying to get into wrestling, and he didn't know how to do it, he didn't know how to get in, and they wanted to, he goes to a promoter, and the promoter would be like, yeah, you can have a match tonight, and then I have to wrestle the bear. And I was like, well, where are we going to get a bear? And they're like, oh, we'll just put somebody in a bear suit. I'm like, we can't do that. We need like the wrestling bears, you know, but I don't know if there's still any of them alive. So I was a little nervous, but kind of excited.
With today's society being big on cancel culture and being so easily offended, do you think that the Eugene character could be put in today's programming and work and be as successful as it was back when you did it the first run?
If there's one thing I know about WWE, they can make anything work that they want to make work. They took the mask off of Kane and made it make sense. You know, I mean, if they wanted to make it right and make it make sense, they could do it.
So with the little bit of wrestling that you do tune in to watch, do you ever tune in to see any of what AEW has to offer?
I've watched a couple episodes. Like I said, I get all the updates and the news online. I don't necessarily sit and watch the shows, but I'll see the highlight segments and stuff like that.
At what point did you find yourself kind of like tuning out and not being as, I guess, interested in the programming? I know you're busy and it's not really probably not an interesting, but at what point did that become a normal thing for you?
Oh, exactly. I started my own wrestling company in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, MidwestAllPro Wrestling. We train wrestlers, and two of our classes are one's on Monday night, one's on Tuesday night. So that cut out Raw right away. I would get home about halfway through Raw, and I'd eat, shower, and then I could watch like the last third or quarter of the show. Yeah, it was just I really didn't have time to watch it all. And then I had the network, but then they went to Peacock. I don't know if the network still works or not, but I'll watch some highlights on there.
Yeah, you'd have to have a VPN to watch it from overseas if you wanted to use the network. One of your big moments was, well, you had a victory over Vince McMahon. Where would you rank that as far as your big moments that you did have?
I think that's got to be one of the biggest, right? I mean, how many times was Vince? How many times was Vince pinned on Monday Night Raw? Who was the last guy to do it? I don't know. I'm going to guess it was me. I'm not really sure. But yeah, it was huge. And the thing was, Spirit Squad and Vince were feuding with DX. And Eugene just got brought into the mix kind of. And Vince put my head in the toilet and poured the paint on me. And I had to sit through the whole Raw with green paint on my hair. It stained my hair. Then Vince and Shane were just going to beat me up and leave me laying. And then DX was going to come out. And it was Shawn Michaels that said, well, God, you know, you're really killing Eugene. He needs to win the match. So Vince was like, oh, you're right. You know, so it was Shawn that spoke up for me. And then just a quick roll up, 1, 2, 3, and it was a big victory.
So with all the people you did work with, who would you say was the best performer that you were in the ring with that like made the match the easiest for you?
I thought Regal was to pair with him.
Yep.
It was so easy. I mean, because I could just do a little bit of something and let him react. A lot of times he would lead me in the ring. I would really have liked to wrestle against him if there would have been a turn at some point. You know, I think that would have been good. And then, you know, Triple H was obviously the easiest, but when you're on top and all the storylines are built around you, you know, the people are into it, so you don't have to do a whole lot. But those were probably the best two I was in the ring with.
So you got injured during your run with Regal, correct?
Mhm.
So was there ever any talks about doing a turn between you two, or did you guys never reach that point during your run to where it became an issue, became a thing they brought up?
No, it was when we had discussed it, but we weren't ready. And then when I shaved Bischoff's hair, they were going to have Regal turn there, so Bischoff didn't get his head shaved, and then he was going to jump me. But that was still kind of at the beginning of the run. And Regal said, no, that's not right. So he went and kind of talked to somebody and got it changed to I was going to go over and shave Bischoff's head. But I would have liked to have done it. And it was discussed, but it didn't pan out.
Now I know you when you were with Regal, you guys traveled together. And at one point you had Tajiri join you guys. How was that experience with you three traveling together? Because I can just imagine the stories you had.
I would say it was like Barnum and Bailey's, on wheels, because it was just Regal with the British accent. And sometimes he talks kind of soft, so people couldn't understand him. And Jerry can speak English, but he can't enunciate English that well. It's a thick accent. So then there was Eugene left to translate for these two guys when we went out to eat or we went to anywhere that they had to just talk to people. And Jerry was just crazy. Like Regal didn't drink, but Jerry and I might have a few glasses of wine at the end of the night, and then Regal had to drive us home. And there's just, it was out of control.
I'm going to start hitting you with some rapid fire questions. Just give me an answer, and you can just kind of detail why why that's your choice. The bigger star in wrestling, Stone Cold or The Rock?
It's tough. Like, 'cause I want to say in wrestling it might have been Stone Cold, but then The Rock transcended and went so much farther outside of wrestling.
Yeah.
So he's like the bigger star. But then in wrestling, I think Austin was the guy that was leading the charge and pulling everybody behind him. So I don't know. It's tough.
For all-time great female, Trish Stratus or Lita?
Moolah, what are you talking about? Probably Trish. Like, Trish is like immensely popular, but in Canada, she's like a national treasure. I mean, she's just, she wanted to do a thing where Trish as a heel lured Eugene in to liking her, and then get Eugene to do all the evil bidding for her. And he's doing it because he's in love, and she's like using him from behind. I think it played out on a video game, but it didn't play out. She couldn't get it to the writers.
Hulk Hogan or Ric Flair?
Hulk.
Is that because of?
I mean, I love Ric Flair, and Ric Flair was great, but Hulk was like, just an immense star that drew money for a long amount of time, so a lot of money over a long period of time.
This next one, I'm not sure how familiar you are with them, but CM Punk and Daniel Bryan.
I like both of them, but I feel like CM Punk, because he stayed relevant and he's been out of wrestling for 7-8 years, and he's still stayed in the conversation and people still talked about him. And so, I mean, he really made a mark and stood up for himself, and then has come back and seems to be doing well.
Yeah,
but I don't want to take anything away from Daniel. I don't want to take anything away from Daniel Bryan, because he did tremendous for himself as well.
True. I've always thought CM Punk was kind of like the embodiment of a complete professional wrestler, much like a Macho Man. And that's my view on him. That nothing against Daniel Bryan. He's definitely a better in-ring performer. Just CM Punk, I thought, was the embodiment. Which leads to the next question. What do you think is more important for a professional wrestler, his in-ring work or his character work?
I mean, it's a balance, and they have to mesh, and they have to come in and out. But for the most part, the wrestling, you can get away with not being able to wrestle if you're a strong performer. If you're not a strong performer, you have to be a really good wrestler. But I think the performer is what catches people's eyes, is what sells tickets, and what people really tune in to see is these characters and performers.
All right. The better all-time faction, D-Generation X or Evolution?
Well, I was an honorary member of Evolution, so I'm gonna have to say them.
Nice choice. So based on just a little bit of AEW watched, would you say better booker, Eric Bischoff or Tony Khan?
I don't know. I think and Tony Khan's been doing well, but he's got a lot of smart people around him. Bischoff was the same way when he first started. He wasn't as experienced, but he had a lot of good people around him. But over the time, Bischoff struck it rich with the NWO. I mean, he knocked it out of the park with that one. The next good booking might have been Goldberg, but outside of that, I don't know what it really was. But since then, like, Eric's very smart in the business now, and I think Tony Khan is like Eric when Eric first started. You know, he's just really getting his feet wet and really realizing and making mistakes and doing better and, you know, doing well.
Yeah, that's a fair comparison. Better current champion, again, based on what you have seen, Roman Reigns or Kenny Omega?
I would probably say Roman Reigns.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, WWE has such a huge worldwide reach. AEW is, I think, still reaching that worldwide reach. And Roman Reigns been, 14-month champion or something like that, year and a half? I mean, a while.
It's exceeding a year, yeah.
Yeah, and I think AEW has a lot of guys that people like to watch, and Kenny's just one of them, in my opinion. He's not like the face, the top guy, even though he is the champion. But I think Roman Reigns is the guy. What was he call himself? The head of the table or the big dog or something?
The head of the table, tribal chief, all that.
Yeah.
And it just got. They just announced that his merchandise sales are rivaling John Cena, and he's doing that as a heel. So that's pretty crazy to think about. See. Are you familiar with MJF? His body of work? Okay. The Miz or MJF?
Well, I hate The Miz, so MJF without a doubt.
Good answer, man. And then future stars, we have Darby Allin and Jungle Boy.
I've seen both of their pictures, and I've maybe seen a little bit of the only reference is the stuff that Cornette says, and I'm not going to take that as gospel.
No,
so.
He's
I don't know. I'll flip a coin. I can flip a coin on those guys. So hopefully they both become stars.
He's very harsh on them. And then we'll go with The Rock or John Cena.
As what, a bigger star in wrestling?
Yeah, we'll stick with wrestling on that one because John Cena hasn't quite transcended himself to that level yet.
But he's building that super Hollywood star. You know, he's getting there. I don't know, because I've most recently seen John Cena's work, and we kind of forget about the Attitude Era and everything that The Rock did and all the great segments that he did. So it's tough to pick. Living in South Dakota, we got Mount Rushmore here, so I always ask people, like, who's your Mount Rushmore of wrestling? And for me, I think it's Hogan, Austin, Cena, and Vince.
That's fair.
I think The Rock, there's another monument here called Crazy Horse. I think The Rock's Crazy Horse.
Your Mount Rushmore, my Mount Rushmore are very similar. I always leave Vince off. I put Ric Flair on, and then I just say Vince is the man that built Mount Rushmore because he has to be included.
Yep.
But yeah. So your promotion that you run, Midwest All Pro Wrestling.
Yep.
I heard that you run the entire thing kind of by yourself. You drive the trucks and take the tickets on. How strenuous is that on you, man?
It can become stressful, but I've got a really good crew around me, so I can delegate now. Get guys to set up the ring, get guys to set up the merchandise stand. I can put people, to sell the merchandise. I don't have to do so much of everything, but definitely I got a small camera crew, and then I'll trying to learn how to edit my best. It's a little cheesy, but I'm doing my best to edit and just building the territory.
You got to start somewhere, man. The editing it's tough at first, but once you get there, I enjoy doing it. But is there anybody?
I enjoy it, but it's time consuming, man, and it's tough.
Oh yeah, definitely. I can only imagine doing the editing on a wrestling show. Is there anybody that works for you, that wrestles for you at Mid-Pro or Midwest that you think has the potential to kind of take the step to the next level and possibly be a future star?
I've got a whole big crew, guys, and some of them have been with me for over 5 years. Some of them are fairly new. Brandon Nitro is one of our standout stars. He's our heavyweight champion. We've got two guys called the New Beginning, two good-looking young athletes that are our tag team champions. And then we've got another title called the Empire Auto Sales Undisputed title. Empire Auto Sales is a local used car lot. And what designates that title being different is that the challenger gets to choose the stipulation of the match. So the champion is always like, he's not his match, it's the challenger's match. So, but plus then we get a gimmick match on every event. I'm partial to the blindfold match, but I've got a whole great crew of guys.
Where can people catch the Midwest All Pro Wrestling show? How can they watch it?
We've got a YouTube channel for now. I just got my third strike, and I think I might get the whole body of work kicked off the God blessed YouTube.
Oh man!
But I uploaded 3 Dynamite Kid matches that I thought were good, that I was using like as instructional. I think I gave credit to New Japan, but then New Japan struck me 3 times. I emailed them begging them to pull the whatever it's called, pull the thing, so I can keep my channel. I don't know if they're going to or not.
Man, that would be tough. Do you have it all backed up and saved so you can put it somewhere else, or?
I've got all the files, but I mean we got one video that's got over 1.5 million views. The boogeyman terrorized Fargo. I got it on film, and the people loved it. It's going to take a while to upload all that stuff again.
All right,
but we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, so they can check us out there.
Okay. I'll hit you with one last question here. It's a question I always have to ask everybody. What was it that got you into professional wrestling? And on top of that, who was the guy or girl that really captured your attention?
So I think it was 1983. It was either the very first or second Saturday Night's Main Event. And I lived in central Indiana growing up, and I'd heard the stories of Dick the Bruiser against the Sheik, and I'd heard of pro wrestling. But then when I saw WWF, and I saw it was shortly after WrestleMania 1, Piper and Bob Orton had turned on Orndorff, and Orndorff at Saturday Night's Main Event goes after Piper, fights him in the ring, chases him under the bleachers, runs down the hall, locks himself in a closet, and I was like, wow, this is great. And then as I got older and got into the business a little bit, but then when I saw Dynamite Kids matches from Japan, I was blown away. I mean, this guy was doing stuff that was phenomenal that could stand up today. So those are definitely 2 of the guys that I enjoyed watching.
I feel like Dynamite was a pioneer for the current product today. Absolutely. And he doesn't get the recognition he deserves. So before we go, is there anything else you want to plug, or where can we find you online?
Eugene's on Twitter at EUGENE Dinsmore, Dinsmore. Midwest All Pro's on Twitter at MidwestAllPro. Also Facebook, Midwest All Pro Wrestling. For now, we got the YouTube. I've got my own YouTube channel, the Nick Dinsmore YouTube channel, where I've got some of my USWA matches and some of WCW. I think they're still up, so check me out there. All
right. Well, I thank you for your time, man. I appreciate it. You can find us on YouTube, and we're also on Spotify. So with that, I'll wave goodbye and wish you a good day, sir.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.